I'm still active in giving lectures, in participating in academic affairs, and also doing some projects for the Korean government. My topic today is lessons from European experiences in the light of how the Asian economic community can be formed and established and also facilitated in the age of US-China competition. Before we go over to Asia's case of regional integration, I think it's very opportune to have some discussion about what kind of competitions are emerging and have emerged in the Asian region. For the last 15 years or so, I have been doing not only European integration, but also Asian integration as well, because we have much to learn from European experiences, positive and negative sides of European integration. But I have discovered that in Asia, we have not only two very visible competitions, but number three is quite important as well, because number three is involving Korea. Right? So number one competition is what we see now, just now. This is So the first topic is leadership competition in East Asia. The first is US versus China. And I define this competition as a regional and global competition because the worldwide geopolitics is influenced by this competition, right? This is lively competition, and at the same time, it's kind of battle, right? For some leadership in world economy, some leadership in world politics, as well as technology, which is shaping the future of the world economy. Right? So this is regional and global, and the most traditional competition in the Asian region is, in my view, China versus Japan, right? Because these are two major players in the region, and they have been struggling for getting leadership in the region, right? And this was mostly visible before we have got the US-China leadership competition in the region. But the number three is emerging one, right? Emerging one is Korea versus ASEAN, because these two actors are middle power nations, right? ASEAN is a 10-country gathering, 10-country we can say integration body, which started in the late 1960s as a political cooperation body, but now it has become more than that. It's envisaging to establish a community written in capital, not in small letters, but in capital. Community which is envisaging to achieve the status of the European Union in the long future. That is what we see, how the Asian ASEAN countries are moving forward to shape and to get their future right. But Korea, I mean, because you are in Korea, and most of you are Korean nationals, but also some international students are here who study and who experience the cultures and the lifestyle of Korea. So that it's also quite timely that you hear something about the Korean leadership. I mean, Korean leadership begins, in my view, in the year 2010 also, right? In the beginning of 2000 as well, we have got the opportunities to host a number of summit meetings, global scale, regional scale, right? You know, Korea was hosting the third ASEM summit meeting. You know ASEM? What is ASEM? ASEM is Asia-Europe meeting. Asia-Europe meeting was instituted in 1996, so some 30 years ago, right? Until that time, we had linkages between Europe and United States, so North America, with the Transatlantic Cooperation Body. And we have had a linkage between United States, so North America and Asia, with the APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. But between Europe and Asia, we had no official linkages, official summit meetings. So to fill up this gap, the Asian and European leaders, they have instituted and established the summit meeting, which is called the ASEM we call. And the third summit meeting was held in 2000 in Seoul. And also in 2005, Korea was hosting APEC Summit. 2010, G20 Summit. 2011, nuclear summit, thing like that. Korea has become a member of the G20, and Korea was assigned the role of playing a kind of intermediate role between advanced countries and developing countries. So this is a middle power competition which is taking place at the moment in Asia. ASEAN has become increasingly important player, and ASEAN has become also very much mightier in economic terms than 20, 30 years ago. So that in that sense, we see here three major leadership competitions in Asia: US versus China, China versus Japan, and Korea versus ASEAN. So that when we see US-China competition, then we have also to look at China, Japan, Korea, ASEAN competitions because it is completing the whole picture of Asia's regional integration. As we know, the US-China competition is overshadowing the world politics and the economy for more than 5 years. And this competition has started right after US President Donald Trump, the former one, took over the power. Right? He started a trade war against China. One of the very reasons for not only Trump but European countries also have been participating in this battle. Some Asian countries also are taking sides to the United States. Some countries sided to China. One of the reasons is that China was emerging as a major economic power and have become increasingly mightier in world politics as well. And in terms of military power as well, China has become an actor which is not negligible, right? So that the United States wanted to contain China in diverse ways, and one of the ways was providing or imposing some kind of sanctions on Chinese products directed to the United States, and that was one of the main features of trade war. Trade wars were since 2018, and we have one of the main features of this trade war is the locational competition for major industries. And these industries are really future industries. Semiconductors, batteries for e-vehicles, and rare earths, and also the core materials used for the production of important products. Right? So these are this is I think a major feature of US-China competition which is overshadowing the world politics and world economy. Now let's turn to Asia. Asia has been long immune to increasing worldwide tendency to regional integration. If you take a look at the regionalism feature of the world economy in 2005, so some 20 years ago, until 20 years ago, in terms of regional integration, Asia was white spot, or we can say empty box. So why white spot and empty box? Because when economists and when political observers look at the regionalism tendency in the world economy, they color, right? They color the numbers of regionalism, numbers of, let's say, FTAs. You are more accustomed with the concept of FTA, right? Free trade agreement. How many FTAs are already established in the region? So in Europe, we have plenty of FTAs because we have 27 EU member states, we have 4 EFTA members, and they have all been intertwined with the free trade relationship, right, over the last 60, 70 years now. And if you take a look at, so that the EU countries, the European countries, they have a vast network of FTAs with Latin American countries, with African countries. Why? Because these countries were mostly former colonies of EU's other countries, like the UK, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, etc. Right? So that they have been doing free trades over the last decades, so that they had a vast and very dense network of FTAs. However, if you take a look at Asian countries, the Asian countries did not need so much of FTA network. Why? Because other countries, major economic powers of the world, let's say United States, let's say Europe, they work outside the region, right? And they were the major markets for their products. So that within the Asian region, the countries did not feel so high necessity to have free trade among themselves, right? Because their major markets are in the United States, outside Asia. So that was the reason why the Asian countries were neglecting the opportunities to assemble their own network of FTAs. So if you take a look at Asia until 2005, there were a few FTAs, but not so many compared to Europe, Latin America, Africa, and so on and so forth. Right? However, the whole story changes. Whole story changes, especially at the end of 1990s. Right? Because 1990s, the end of 1990s, what's happening in Asia? What is happening in Asia at the end of 1990s? IMF. So he says IMF crisis. Somebody else says Asian financial crisis, which is right. It's not crisis of the IMF, it's crisis of the Asian countries. So right term is Asian financial crisis, not IMF crisis. Right? When we, in the Korean newspapers, we often, and in Korean TV programs as well, we often heard about and we read quite frequently about the IMF crisis, but actually this is not the IMF crisis. Officially it's Asian financial crisis. Asian countries were in crisis financially because they had not enough liquidity. Liquidity in the world economy is provided by United States, US dollar. US dollar was international currency. We have still a few international currencies. Right? What kind of international currencies do you know? Except US dollar.
Euro.
Euro has become quite international now, and Japanese yen partially, right? Not so impactful.
Should we consider the yuan, perhaps? Or
Chinese yuan is becoming like international increasingly. But whether Chinese government would like to make Chinese yuan really international, that's the question. Right? But this is beyond our lecture, so that I'd like to not go deeper into this detail. British pound. And also when every time when world economy is in trouble, you hear about the importance of one additional currency, Swiss franc. Swiss franc was ever appreciating in the euro. So if you have some money and you like to bet, you like to make money by investing in international currencies, US dollar is good, right? But better is Swiss franc. If you take a look at the trends of the value of Swiss franc's value is ever appreciating. Of course, with some ups and downs, but the trend is ever appreciating. When euro was launched in 1999, euro was more valuable than French franc, no, Swiss franc. Right? But now, Swiss franc is more valuable. So that's what you have to know as a younger generation aspiring to become international players. So one of our lifetime mission is to live in wealth. Right? So make money is not criminal. Right? You have to also pay attention to that. Swiss franc is one very good investment for a long period. So Asia was in trouble. Going back to our lecture, Asia was in trouble. Therefore, Asian countries, that's a very, how to say, it's yeah, I forgot my English word, but later. So what I wanted to say is it is not easily understandable why Asian countries have become increasingly interested in regionalism in the face of Asian financial crisis. Because when the crisis was emerging in Asia, there was nobody in the region or outside the region who provided immediate help to Asian countries. There was Japan, one country, which was standing out and which assembled one package to cure the problem of the liquidity shortage of Asian countries. But this was discarded, kicked out by the United States because the US was fearing about losing some leadership role in Asia. Right? So Japanese initiative to establish Asian Monetary Fund, AMF, Asian Monetary Fund, was discarded. Okay, so our students are telling me you took too much. Okay, because I thought that this is 2-hour lecture for me, so I prepared too much, right? So, but that's no problem. Asian countries were receiving no immediate help from inside and from outside, so that Asian countries they started to think about their own future, how to shape our future by ourselves. And they discovered that regional integration, like Europe, is important. So we are now coming to European experiences. What's European experiences? How the European countries did. So I'd like to tell 5 more minutes, and then start the Q&A session, because Q&A session is more important, I think. What we can learn from Europe. What the Asian countries have to learn from Europe, the most important thing is how to manage political risks. We have too many risks politically in the region. Because we have here China-Japan leadership competition, and Korea also has traditionally some disputes, right? Territorial disputes, history disputes, history textbook disputes as well, right? And but if you go to Europe, in Europe as well, we had major wars. 2 major wars in the 20th century, right? But if you look at the past 70 years, there have been no major wars involving the Central European countries. We have now one of the major wars in the eastern part of Europe, Russia and Ukraine, right? This is also somewhat influenced by the territorial expansion of the European Union, we can say, because Ukraine intended to become a full-fledged EU member. And that was one of the triggers for Russia to start an invasion into Ukrainian territory. Beside that, we had no major war on the European continent. Why? Because there was European integration. European integration, when they started the European integration in 1950s, well before that, during the period of Second World War, there were several architects of the European integration, mostly from French nationality. Right? They started to think about how to shape the Europe after the end of the war. And they got to think about some initiatives. These initiatives should, number 1, involve Germany. Number 2, start with like-minded countries, but gradually expand the membership. Right? So that was done kind of consistently pursued first by French leaders, political leaders, but was accepted by other countries, and they have become now very vast territory, 27 country gathering. Of course, 5 years ago, the discussion started 8 years ago, 2016. One country decided to pull out the membership of the EU. Which country is that? UK, United Kingdom. UK withdrew its membership from the EU, and officially 2020, UK fully was expelled from the European Union, or UK officially withdrew its membership from the European Union. So there was one of the major crises, but European Union was ever expanding until that time, right? And the European Union was also expanding to eastern part of Europe, and EU was also having discussions with Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Montenegro, Serbia, these countries, still not in the European Union, but having some official discussion to become European Union members. Right? So what I wanted to say to you is that managing political risks is very, very important. How to manage? Because when the French architects of European integration started to think about the integration projects in Europe, the first thing they have had in mind was how to prevent another war on the European continent. So preventing another war on the European continent was the most important and the primary goal of European integration. So we can say that European integration was a peace project. You can see in my slides after there are a few obstacles to Asian regional integration. One of them is we have no leadership countries. If you take a look at the European experiences, we had cooperation between two major countries that were formerly hostile to each other, that had a number of wars against each other. But after the Second World War, they have become friends. Not only friends, but they have cooperated in many integration projects of the European Union, and they have become members of or coalition friends, coalition partners. Right? We call this tandem. You know what tandem is. You have a bicycle, and this bicycle has two sets. One is sitting in front, one behind, and they are pedaling at the same time to make this bicycle roll. And we call this French-German or German-French tandem. France and Germany were hostile to each other. They had major wars against each other in the history. But in the European integration projects, they have become friends, they have become partners, and they have exercised collectively leadership in European politics, European economy. Right? We call this KBR, key bilateral relations. When we borrow the European experiences in the light of Asian integration, when we apply this to Asian integration, key bilateral relations can be formed by these two countries, China and Japan, because they are mighty in the region. If they cooperate, then the Asian integration must be successful. But they are not cooperative yet. So that we need something. And this something can be played by Korea or ASEAN. So middle power, therefore, is important in the region where major powers are struggling against each other. Middle power diplomacy is therefore very important. Right? Korea or ASEAN should play a mediator role between China and Japan. This is one of the key success factors in the future of Asian integration. How Korea can play this role, how ASEAN can play this role, right? maybe Korea and ASEAN can cooperate because the two parties, they have no necessary reasons for being hostile against each other. Right? Maybe they can cooperate, but either ASEAN or Korea or both should play a mediator role between Japan and China, and probably this is one of the key success factors for the future of Asian integration. That's what I wanted to give you as a key message.